Normally product videos are shot with 50mm, maybe 85, so I decided to challenge myself and shoot a cinematic product video using only wide-angle lens. During the shoot, I experimented and discovered 5 major issues to be aware of. Stick around because I'm also gonna share the number 1 mistake that most creators make, which can either make your shots boring or even completely ruin them. Let's roll. This lens has to be one of the favorite lenses in my kit. It's very convenient, sitting at 16 to 35mm range, basically going from wide to medium. It's also pretty fast at f2.8. And to enhance that cinematic look, I've also added quarter-strength Hollywood Blackmagic filter made by Schneider. It's meant to reduce contrast and make colors more pastel-like. The first and most obvious issue with wide-angle lenses is distortion, making objects appear stretched or skewed, especially near the edges of the frame. If you have an APS-C, a Super 35 or a Micro Four Thirds sensor, then your image will be cropped by default by a certain factor. APS-C size sensor often crops image by a factor of 1.5, which would make this 16 to 35mm lens basically a 24 to 52. Focal lengths that are way more manageable for a product video. Don't try this at home, don't slice your hand. Just kidding. Now that we have everything in place, we got the fog, we got the fresh tomato down, looking very delicious. So good. Let's see if we can slice this tomato in half. So it's just a matter of me aiming for the right spot. Some full-frame camera bodies allow the use of cropped APS-C area of the sensor. My Lumix S1 shoots 6K in full-frame format, but only at 24p. I wanted to shoot this video at 60 frames per second, so when I downsized resolution to 4K, the sensor automatically switched to APS-C format. While we're at it and we still have the top-down setup, let's reset slightly. We'll go vertical. You have to bring your hand up all the way. I get to eat all the fruit we didn't slice properly. Jokes aside, this is the last orange I got, the last chance. Start your drum roll, keep your fingers crossed. And finally, I got it right down the middle. It happened to me before where I didn't have enough fruit and I had to do another supermarket run just to get a refill. So it will waste 1 to 2 hours, so make sure you have enough ahead of time. So shooting at a lower but still high resolution is a trick that I often use with my 6K Red Komodo and Blackmagic Ursa cameras, especially when I need my framing tighter than the lens allows optically. And since most of my deliverables are in 4K anyway, there is no loss of image quality. Which leads us to issue number 2, perspective. Wide-angle lenses can exaggerate the size of objects that are closer to the lens, leading to an unnatural perspective. This can make some parts of the product look disproportionately large or small. Something I discovered that helps to turn this problem into a creative tool is the height at which the camera is set and the camera motion. If the camera is set at a low angle, then the product looks epic. The visual distortion may be forgiven by the viewer and hero status is earned. And who wouldn't want their product to look heroic? One other problem that I'm encountering here shooting with wide lens only is the fact that I can't actually place the product inside of this tabletop. I have to bring it all the way forward just so we can capture the brand logo. I will actually have to start with camera tilted up. And as I'm driving closer to the product, I will be tilting the camera down slowly until I have the brand name center frame. Let's go ahead and try a couple of runs. Let's see how it goes. This is much harder than I expected. When the shot is static, either filmed with sticks or handheld, our brain has more time to process an odd perspective that it's seen and start picking apart inaccuracies or distortions. For this reason, I've added a lot of motion to these shots. Let's add some more camera action. In this next shot, we'll have our lovely Yulia grab the knife out of the block and she will actually slice this lemon in half. In the meantime, I'll just follow her hand movement with this camera. So the lens in this shot is set at 20mm, so a bit closer. I have to first focus the camera right here at the end point. Action. Cut. We'll need take 2 on this one. And maybe the Dana Dolly is an overkill to drive this little DSLR camera, but that's all I had. However, I didn't limit myself to only dolly shots. I've added handheld motion shots and even set the product itself on top of the motorized rotating turntable. The objective of this shot is to show quality of the product and detailed texture. First things first, you gotta make sure that you have the focus right. Second of all, I like shooting these in reverse of the rotation direction for a more dramatic effect. We'll just do this nice parallax effect. Sometimes doing these product videos, you have to shoot maybe 10 takes until you get that perfect one. So I'm looking right now for the frontal view of the product where I can clearly see the knife's handles. Constant motion creates constant perspective change and stops the brain from catching on too quickly that something may be visually off. So if you're getting value, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. But then how do you achieve the depth of field? It is more challenging with wide-angle lenses, which can make it difficult to isolate the product from the background and create a visually appealing, blurred background effect. Fortunately for me, this lens has an aperture of f2.8, which was enough to create some blur in the background. Typically, the closer you bring the lens to the subject, the more blur you'd see in the background. But doing so with a wide-angle lens would mean that the subject would get distorted more as well. You just need to find the distance acceptable to you, far enough to avoid an extreme distortion, yet close enough to create the blur in the background. And to enhance the depth perception, you need to make sure you're not shooting against the flat wall, and that you have plenty of space behind the subject. I would also place objects at different distances from the lens. We're dialing this lens to 24 millimeters. We'll just add a couple of grapes from this side to kiss the frame and to create depth. But one of my favorite ways to add volume to this scene is by using a fog machine. Let's crank up some fog. Wow, this is a really interesting perspective on a knife. Action. Oh, that's a sad slice.
Vlad, let's do lime. Okay.
Come on, Julia, focus. Please do something, Julia.
Okay, I'll do it for you, okay.
Save me.
Action.
One of the main issues I had in this location is a lack of windows and natural sunlight. To solve this problem, I used a Bowen's mount snoot light modifier to project the shape of a window with an orange tint to give an impression that this took place during the golden hour. And then again, something that can help a great deal with creating depth and volume is lighting. Wide-angle lenses often capture a larger scene requiring more extensive lighting setups to ensure even an adequate illumination across the entire frame. Our lighting setup today consists of Aperture 300D Mark II with a Light Dome 2, as well as two Nanlite Pavo Tubes 15X, also two Godox SL60W with light modifiers, and the B7C light bulb made by Aperture hidden behind Spice Rack. Wide-angle lenses capture a broader field of view, so it may be tricky to fill the frame with art and decor, especially for smaller productions. Often I don't use lights only to do the obvious and light the frame in a conventional way. I use interesting light sources, practicals, and light modifiers as a part of design or decor to make my background more visually interesting. But how to keep the entire product in sharp focus when shooting close-ups? Ensuring that the key details of the product are in focus requires careful attention to focus settings and distance. If you feel like you can keep the product in focus throughout camera movement, consider stopping down to f4 or even f5.6. Just remember that you would need to also crank up your lights. If your camera and lens have autofocus, you can try that. Otherwise, you can try and manually rack focus. I like to do a couple of practice runs to see what works better for that particular shot and only then press record. Gotta have a shot of actually putting knife in the block, so Julia, would you help me with that?
Yes, sir.
All right, action. All right, and cut. I think you did wonderful. And now onto the number one mistake that most creators make, which is a lack of attention to detail. If the setting for your product is a kitchen, select a unique or visually appealing location. If you have fruits and vegetables in the frame, make them appear more juicy by spraying some water on them. Don't shoot a product in an empty kitchen. Think through your design. The key to a successful product video is in executing details. Having a larger crew on the set allows each crew member to focus on refining their particular area of responsibility, hence the spotless image. As a creative, always look for ways to make your videos look visually interesting. If you're a brand owner or an agency and need a product videos for your business, please reach out via email listed in the description. And if you'd like to see an entire production process for a lifestyle product video with a model, watch this video next.